Radio Cayman,
The voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon, Cayman Islands. Welcome to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, and I'm filling in for your regular host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, today. And I believe you have Anita with you tomorrow, and then Sterling's going to be back with us next week. On the show this afternoon, our first guest in studio, we have from the RICS Cayman Property and Construction Conference. I have Stephen Still Kevin Drysdale that's with me today. We're hoping Stephen Still is gonna be coming in.
No, I'm Stephen Still.
Oh, we have Stephen Still with us today. I swear you said Kevin earlier. No, okay. And then Kevin's coming in. My bad. And then after that, we're going to be hopefully joined on a phone link by the Minister for Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, Honourable J.E. Banks, and the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society President, George Smith. George Smith is definitely joining us, and we'll be talking about food security and the livestock importation update for the Cayman Islands and more. After that, we're going to have an open line. I know there's lots to talk about, and you're going to come with your calls. Right now, we're going to throw it back to Susan for a quick disclaimer and a little break, and then we'll be talking about the 5th annual RICS Cayman Property and Construction Conference.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Yes. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and we have in studio right now, I'm not going to get the name wrong again, we have Stephen Still. He is with the RICS Events Committee. He's a chartered surveyor. Is that correct? Yes, part of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors and the Cayman Islands chapter. And we're here to talk about the 5th annual, somewhat annual because the pandemic, threw a wrench into things, the 5th annual RICS Cayman Real Estate and Construction Conference. So good afternoon, Steve.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Did you join us before? Was it?
I was with you last week. Yeah,
last week. Okay.
Myself and Uche popped in for a quick Q&A. So.
Okay, awesome. So we're somewhat doing the same thing, kind of different listening audience, but also trying to get that information and awareness about what this conference is.
It's slightly different. Yeah, it's good to kind of get in here and just put the name out there. And we've only got a few tickets left. We're in the last couple of dozen, I think. So
okay.
Just to let everyone know, you need to get in there quickly for sure.
Excellent. So the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. Give us a bit of an overview, who you guys are, what are your main functions?
Sure. So we're the global governing body for all professions that deal with land surveying, real estate, construction, infrastructure. We're the leading global organisation that sets and promotes the standards in these industries. We act for the public good, and we try and promote the standards where we can, and promote the highest standards of professionalism.
Okay, excellent. So now I know nothing about surveying, and you can correct me if I'm even using the wrong terms here.
No problem.
So there's different types of surveyors, right? So what is, can you explain what those different types are?
Sure, there are many different types. So, for example, I'm a valuation surveyor, so I will mostly carry out valuations for example, banks when somebody's buying a property in order for them to get loan security, which means they might get a mortgage for the property. There are quantity surveyors who calculate the cost, basically calculate the cost to construct a property and give you an idea of how much it will be to build the property, including all of the different elements. There can be land surveyors who will identify boundaries, calculate the dimensions of a building site, for example.
Those are the guys they look like little cameras almost.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Okay.
You've got construction management surveyors who manage a project, for example, a large project. Lots of project going on here in the Cayman Islands at the moment. So lots of different types. I mean, I'm leaving out many other different types, but all different facets of the construction, real estate, and infrastructure industry. There's a different surveyor for different parts of that, really. So
the different phases of the project that you're in.
Sure, yeah.
That's
exactly.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Sure.
So, boom, right there. Enough info. All right. So we're having this conference. It's coming up on the 29th of April.
That's exactly, yes.
And you said there's just a few tickets left.
Only
right?
a few left, yeah.
So if you could give us, we went into the background there with at least who the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors are and what you do. And there's a membership. There's also a Cayman chapter.
There is, exactly.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so there's probably over 130,000 members globally, and I would say probably about 60 in the Cayman Islands at the moment, and it's growing. I mean, we've got surveyors training now to be members of the RICS, so it's ever growing, and it's a really popular profession at the moment, given the current market conditions and the construction industry and real estate industry. So.
Is this a profession that you have to go to school, like university?
Yeah, generally it's probably 3 to 4 years in university, and then you do a professional assessment of competence after 2 years of employment. So probably between 5 and 6 years altogether to be a fully qualified member.
Okay, and that's to be a member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors?
Yes, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors,
okay.
Yes.
All right. So the benefits of joining this institution, can you tell us what those are? Because, let's see, I just did my school stuff, and I'm going to say, all right, let me go join a company, be a quantity surveyor for them. Is there a benefit for me to do that further 2 years, you said?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's a globally recognised qualification. It's recognised within all of the industries I've mentioned: real estate, land, construction, infrastructure. It also makes you a lot more employable because all of the firms that are working in these industries recognise the MRICS or FRICS postnominals, and again with for example lenders and different professions in other industries that work off the real estate industry. So it's also recognised by those professionals. So it's a really prestigious qualification to have.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that explanation. And good afternoon. We have now joining us. I had to cross his name out of my my opening here since I was calling Stephen by your name, Kevin.
Oh,
so welcome, Kevin, to talk today this afternoon.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
Yeah, fine. Bit of a mad dash across
you
town.
You don't have to apologize for me saying the wrong names. It's okay. Bit of a mad dash. It's that lunchtime rush, so I understand. How are you doing this afternoon?
Very good.
Okay,
Just
excellent.
incredibly busy on Ireland at the moment. Yeah.
All right. What are you busy with?
Oh, the new high school.
Okay.
That's keeping me incredibly busy. That's the new John Gray High School, as well as numerous other projects around the island. So
are you a surveyor as well?
I'm a quantity surveyor,
a
project
quantity
manager.
surveyor.
Yeah.
Okay. And luckily, Stephen was just giving me the difference explaining the different types of surveyors there are, especially when we're doing a development project, real estate project. I had no idea that there was, I guess, in the different phases that you're going to get a different surveyor for whichever phase of the project you're on. So he just explained that, and yours is the quantity surveyor.
Quantity surveyor, yeah.
The project manager. So you do the surveying as well during the construction process.
Primarily, a quantity surveyor is involved in the financial management of construction projects and the contract administration. That's what we get involved a lot with. And that leads us into project management, where the client's focus is on finance rather than, say, design, or where the project, for example, John Gray's a design and build. So we're running there as the employer's agent and looking after the scheduling as well as the financial aspects of that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We're just getting into what some of the benefits are to joining the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, and Stephen told us what those benefits are, right? So we're going to move on to more so the conference now, which now we know there's only a couple dozen tickets left.
Yeah, it's almost sold out.
Yeah, we're
Right.
almost sold out, so it's really good.
I'm going to have to get on the phone with one of my friends immediately after, because I said, are you going to this? I didn't even know about it, Kathy. And I, what? And he's a developer. So that is somebody that I did let know previously last week, so I'm going to have to chase him up today to make sure he gets in for this, because there's a lot of great opportunities about it. So we're just a few minutes away from the commercial break, but we can talk about this conference and what people can expect from it. Let's start with the theme. If you want to share what the theme of this year's conference is.
Sure. So the theme is building a sustainable and resilient future for the Cayman Islands. So that, you know, it does exactly what it says in the opening. It's going to have a sustainability and environmental kind of stamp on everything, on focus, and it's going to be a really kind of healthy debate in each different section of the conference in relation to the different aspects of and how these might affect the Cayman Islands market now and in the future.
So to me, sustainability is a word I hoped I wouldn't have to hear again after university. Here it is again. To me, it's a very trending word, but I'm in marketing, so it's different. When marketers use the word sustainability, it's for likely a different purpose, right? When we're talking about building sustainability, well, sustainability in general, can you explain to us what that is when we're thinking about sustainability when it comes to development?
I guess in the real estate and construction industry, there's an important role to play in having a responsibility in creating a more sustainable environment in the different sectors and reducing the impact on climate change. And sustainability is really that's kind of what it is really. It's trying to reduce the impact on the environment and climate change, and having a more environmentally and socially responsible outlook on your everyday practice.
Did you want to touch on that at all, Kevin?
Yeah, it's not just about today though, it's about the future. So for example, development's looking at how, you know, the materials that you use, not just from the sake of, you know, what they impact now, but what the impact will be in the future with regard to maintenance. We live on an island where everything has to be imported. There's very little that's produced here, and we have to be aware of the fact that, you know, that supply chain is outside of our control. Therefore, we've got to be careful about the sourcing of products and the type of products we use here.
Now, when you mentioned a great point with the kinds of materials being used, the type of products. Have you, from your experience in this field over the years, have you seen a change in how products are manufactured, that they're more sustainable products are coming out and being available for people in the construction industry?
The biggest problem, I suppose, is that the actual the fundamental building product of the construction industry is concrete and steel, and those will never be sustainable in the sense that, you know, they're high energy resource intensive products, but we need to build them here. The other side of that coin is though the largely finishing products, and you mentioned the trendy nature of life, and those products tend to come and go. Some, you know, bamboo flooring becomes popular and then it doesn't, it wanes, but there's definitely more availability now in the market. The marketeers have latched on the fact that there's money to be made out of selling the products as sustainable, coming from sustainable sources, that there's a markup and that people will pay for that. I should add that sustainability, a key factor of sustainability is cost. That's largely that often gets overlooked. It's not just about the material; it's about the cost of that material.
Let's
the financial cost.
Continue that point. We've got to go to commercial break, but I want you to hold on to that thought, and let's expand on that thought once we come back from the commercial break.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, X-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
As the longest established pensions plan in the Cayman Islands, the Chamber Pension Plan looks forward to delivering the same strong performance for our members, but now in a new location. As of March 1st, our new pensions operation office is located at 14 Saturn Close, Eastern Avenue, the same building as our new administrator's agent, Saxon Administration Limited. A dedicated and experienced team will be assigned to the Chamber Pension Plan. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. New location, new administrator's agent, new customer service, same strong performance.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and we are talking about the 5th Annual RICS Cayman Property and Construction Conference. And I have with me in studio this afternoon Stephen Still and Kevin Drysdale, and both are event committee members for the RICS. Welcome again, gentlemen. And right before our break, we were talking about the sustainability and what it really means. And I asked Kevin, just hold on, to stick a little pin in that thought, because I wanted to go back to when you were mentioning the cost of sustainability. And, you know, sometimes I wish you guys could hear what is said during the commercial break because a lot of interesting things are said in the break. But then when we go back to the actual show on air, it tends to go in a somewhat a different direction, right? The direction we were on previous to the break. But there's some things that you had mentioned that I'd love for you to share, but let's go back to the cost of sustainability and people not, I guess, really understanding the costs involved with it.
Well, financial costs and where that, the money cycle is an important aspect of sustainability. You know, we've got to be able to afford what we build, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, not shared by my company or anybody else. It's all very well and good to be sustainable if you've got a lot of money in your back pocket. You can be, you can afford to buy those sustainable products. And the challenge comes when you're dealing with low-cost housing and affordable housing. Is how do you make that sustainable, and where do you focus your efforts on that? That I think is a real challenge, particularly when you see the rising costs of construction here on the island. I mean, it's been dramatic since the pandemic hit us.
And why? I mean, I know why by talking to some developers, but a lot of people out there, people listening, don't understand why, and I think it's so important to. There's
been a lot of blame thrown at COVID, but in fact the issue is way more complex than that, way more complex than just the pandemic. I mean, I'm no logistics expert at all, and I wouldn't want to be portrayed as that. But the world will move to a sort of global economy, and what we found is that as soon as we've had a break in that, then everything seems to fall down, and shortages have occurred.
Yes,
shortage occurring right across the board, and again, environmental thing. I mean, there's a lot of environmental impacts. We're all aware because we watch the television of wildfires in the United States and the impact that's had on their timber production.
Right.
I mean, the world is an interconnected place now, and we're discovering that those connections are very fragile, and when they break, then we've got problems. And of course, we're at the end of a long supply chain here. We don't have timber resources and material resources here on the island to rely on and fall back on, so we're dependent upon all of that product coming in from overseas. And it doesn't matter which country it comes from, it has to come here. And as soon as that logistic trail breaks, then we have a problem, and that leads to shortages, and when you have shortages of supply, costs go up.
Also, the very important point of the costs for shipping containers.
Well, it's not just the cost of shipping containers, it's the fact that there aren't any. I've never had the experience in my working life where I've got materials are delivered to site, and no sooner they're delivered on site than the shipping agents are on our back to get those shipping containers back to them, and then we're getting charged if we're late. I've never experienced that before. Containers would arrive, we keep them on site because the materials are safe in there, and when we're ready to return them, we return them. Now we're up against, we get a deadline and they've got to be returned, and it's a huge problem.
Wow, that is a lot of problems. Quite a lot, actually. So thank you for sharing that, because it's real, and
absolutely.
A lot of the time I'll find discussions about this is usually very surface level, and they just kind of fluff over the real issues that we're having. And in this conference, we're discussing some of the issues, the positive way we want to move forward with real estate and construction, the issues that we are facing in the Cayman Islands. So if you could let us know what the lineup is going to be for that day. What are the different discussions that people can look forward to hearing?
Sure. So it's going to be split up into a number of different sessions. So we've got a morning session, which is a large section within the large conference room in the Ritz, and then in the afternoon it's going to be split into 3 smaller rooms for some breakout sessions.
Okay.
The morning session will include firstly a welcome address from the Premier. There'll be a keynote address from the RSCS President-elect, so the next President of the RSCS, which is a really good thing to have for us, and a presentation by the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Change. And following that, we're going to have a market outlook session on some of the issues that Kevin has discussed, and also values and pricing, things like that. We're going to have some key players in the market. So it's going to be moderated by Mr. Liam Day, who's the Managing Director of BCQS International. We've got panellists like Adam Johnson, who's a partner at Applebee's, Paul Boyles, who's an economist, Jennifer Hearn, who's Chief Officer of the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resilience, and many other guests. Then in the afternoon, we're going to have some breakout sessions. Kevin's going to be speaking on John Gray High School and some of the issues he's faced there. We're going to have a session on alternative energy sources, supply chain, volumetric strata, if you can say it correctly, some waste management issues as well, and then also valuation uncertainty and environmental and social governance.
Quite a lot of topics.
Quite a bit.
So a lot of information.
Exactly. And so for the afternoon sessions, there's going to be 6 running altogether, 3 concurrently, so you can only choose 2 to go to. So there's 6 to choose from. So it's it'll be a tough one, but it's quite an interesting array of different topics to get into, really. And it'll be a really kind of good event for anyone that wants to kind of gain a little bit more knowledge in all of the different kind of areas of the property industry, really, and construction industry.
And a few of these are very topical, what you had mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. So it's, the foreign investment thing, we know that's a big deal for the Cayman Islands, or for residents. We're pretty concerned about that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I understand why it's happening. I understand the government's motivation for this too. So it can be quite hard.
It can, and there's a lot of, I guess, different facets of the arguments, and we're going to try and delve a little bit deeper into those in the different sessions. Very, very topical issues. I mean, waste management is another one.
Absolutely. With Regen, which is,
for example, they're going to be, giving us an idea of what's, the latest on that. So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, the John Gray one is actually about government procurement and construction work, with John Gray being a case study, and looking at how we're going to creatively move forward with that. And when I say creatively, what I mean by that is, and having been involved in the airport and having been involved in major capital works here on the island, the problem is with government projects, major capital projects, there's only a limited number of contractors who can actually bid for that work, given the procurement strategies that have been used to date.
Because of the procurement strategies?
Because of the procurement strategies that have been used to date. And I'm not here to discuss or critique those, but we've been working with key players within government to look at ways that we can be more creative. By creative is how do we engage and get opportunities for mid-tier contractors to work on major capital projects. At the moment, there's really only 2 contractors that can bid for anything major by the government.
Is it because of the size of that business?
Yeah, because of the size of the contract and the requirements the government has made with regard to, and particularly with regard to performance bonds. And again, it's not the purpose of this chat today to discuss all that, but it's a real barrier to mid-tier contractors on Ireland getting involved in those projects. And we've been discussing ways to actually, overcome those, so we still maintain the procurement credibility, the financial control. I mean, at the end of the day, it's public money. It's people's money. You can't just wantonly, spend that whatever. We have to be accountable.
Absolutely.
So how do we remain accountable, and yet create opportunities on these major projects for the mid-tier level contractors? And so that's what that talk is about, really, is about moving forward, how the future for major capital projects on this island may well look. One thing I'd just like to go back to and talk about is the market panel. The reason why I come back to that is that's an opportunity for the attendees to the conference to really engage with the conference. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether many of your listeners are aware of Question Time, a long-running TV programme in the UK, where panellists will receive questions from the audience on matters, on subjects which are relevant at that particular time. But the intention of this market panel is just that. The questions will come from the floor about where is the future of Cayman going in terms of property and construction. It's not intended to be a bun fight or to be a fisticuff type event. It's about looking forward. Where do we think the island's going? What do we think the development strategy for the island's going to be? And let's hear what the audience have to say. So I would ask anybody coming along to come on with some questions and have a think before they come along, and let's make it a really engaging and dynamic event.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would hope with solutions too, not just let's talk about it, because there's years of let's talk about these things, right? But it's finding the solutions to move forward. One of the points that you made, which I think is excellent, is when you said that you'll be looking at seeing how you can bring the mid-tier, I guess the smaller construction companies in to be able to bid for the bigger projects. Because of how the procurement strategy is set up right now, it somewhat denies them the ability to bid on these projects. Am I understanding that?
From a financial point of view, the cost of actually bidding, the cost of actually entering into a contract with the government is prohibitive.
Wow, okay.
It's the resources as well, isn't it, in order to carry them out?
Yeah. So. Okay. Very interesting. I think that's a great point. And necessary, because we have a lot of smaller companies here. Yeah, we can't shut people out.
The vision is that we can bring these people in rather than having to rely on overseas contractors to come on island,
right,
to fill that void and create that competition. We have some great contractors on island,
absolutely,
very capable contractors. They just don't have that financial resource that has been needed in the past to be able to bid for these jobs, and it's largely financial. People, the people side, the resources side, many of the mid-tier contractors are very capable of dealing with these jobs from a resource point of view. There's just the financial implications of a contract of that type has been a problem in the past.
All right.
And that feeds into the sustainability as well, because they can carry that in a more sustainable manner because they're already on island and not having to get further professionals over here to do some work.
That's the social economic tie
exactly,
of the sustainability pillar right there.
For sure.
Yeah. We got to go to another commercial break right now, and then we'll return in just a couple of minutes.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
It's the right time and this is the place to be.
Give your space a refresh with the spring savings sale this April at Thomason Furniture and Mattress Gallery. Sofas, sectionals, and love seats take 20% off the lowest price. 3-piece queen bedroom sets in solid wood take 20% off. 5-piece dining sets, TV stands, coffee tables, and wall shelves take 20% off. Sheets, pillows, fragrance warmers, and sprays take 15% off. Great savings on mattresses, foundations, and frames. Indoor and outdoor furniture. The spring savings sale, in-store only, all April long at Tomlinson Furniture and the Mattress Gallery at Tomlinson Building, Walkers Road. Check our Facebook or Instagram for sale flyer details.
It's the right time and this is the place to be.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks, and in studio with me right now from the 5th Annual RICS Cayman Property and Construction Conference, we have Stephen Still and Kevin Drysdale. Both of these gentlemen are events committee members, and both of them work in surveying.
We do.
Right, yes. I know I got from Stephen, you're a value surveyor, yes, and quantity surveyor.
Quantity surveyor, yeah.
Yes, got it. So this is all new to me, guys, this part of it. Again, during that commercial break, Kevin gave a lot of information, which is just so valuable. We're going to talk a little bit more about the conference, and I might end this segment with Kevin to give us a little bit more information on actually what he discussed in the commercial break, because some of the substance is what you're going to be getting, what we're sharing here. You're going to be getting a lot more of that in this conference. So it's that bit of a teaser, and I mean, he just schooled me completely on a bunch of things that I think people need to know and understand the process with. But let's focus on the conference, which we know is coming up on April 29th, Friday, April 29th at the Ritz-Carlton, Grand Cayman. And who can come to this? We only have a few tickets left, first of all, right? But
absolutely.
Can I, as somebody who has no idea about this industry, get a ticket and go?
Absolutely anyone who's interested in the real estate industry as a whole can can attend, including members of the public. As I said, there's only a few tickets left, so if you do want to attend, I'd probably make a move and try and grab those last few tickets.
How do they do that?
We've got a number. I can provide it to you.
You just keep one ticket aside in case I can get my
Sure.
friend.
And we're on Eventbrite as well, so if you just check the 5th RSCS conference, be on there.
It's always been a guiding light of this conference and the organisation of it that we keep the conference as accessible as possible to people, regardless of what they do for a living. We've always tried to keep the ticket prices affordable. Yeah. I mean, some people look at the price and go, "Well, I can't afford that," but there is overhead costs that we have to deal with. But we, we're not aiming, or this conference isn't aimed to actually make a profit as such, because what we want to do is attract as many grassroots people as possible.
Sure,
to
and
come.
that's what's really important, the grassroots, and every conference we've had since its inception has been, the feedback's been really extremely positive, and it's always sold out. And what we aim to have, like Kevin was saying, is it's a really healthy, transparent and open debate about all these different topics. On the floor, if you want to open up and you've got a question, you've got all of these key players, professionals there ready to kind of give you as good an answer as possible and try and open that kind of that door for you into the whole industry and get those insights.
Yeah, so the afternoon breakout sessions that you mentioned, will those be more interactive? Absolutely.
I mean, there's different formats. So there's some with presentations. There's some of them that's a panel. For example, the global valuation uncertainty and environmental, social and governance. That's going to be a panel. So there'll be a moderator, and then there'll be 3 panelists, and they'll discuss what's happened in the last couple of years in the property industry with the real estate boom, affordability, and then how sustainability will relate to real estate and construction, and what that holds for the future, really, for the island and for the Caribbean, really, for the whole region. So.
Yeah, the breakout session, we have an obligation as a committee in the RSCS to organise CPD, continuing professional development, for our members. And so there's no getting away from it. The afternoon is more geared towards technicals, continuing professional, rather than just general interest. I'm saying that and I don't want to put anybody off for going those, because there'll be lots of information there, but it's very much more of a technical rather than a general conversation in the afternoon. But the morning sessions are geared up for the industry as a whole. They're it's looking at the much bigger picture than just narrow technical issues.
Right, so your afternoon breakout sessions are much more focused talks, interactive, as we mentioned.
But also, extremely, really interesting topics, and like Kevin said, there'll be technical, but I think there's something there for everyone anyway. If you want to hang on and attend those as well.
So what are the benefits of coming?
Again, I mean, you're going to have all the key players basically in the industry are going to be there. From the island, and some actually from off island, from the Caribbean region. The different sessions basically will cover everything. I mean, we've got to mention foreign ownership of property in Cayman. That's quite an interesting and it's a topic that a lot of people have been kind of talking about recently. The impact of COVID, traffic congestion, things like that. So the benefits are getting a breadth of knowledge, and say, for example, if you're an investor or if you're thinking about investing in property in the near future, you'll have more broad knowledge of the industry and be able to make more informed decisions in your future kind of ventures.
We have a offline question, so I think a question that came in to Susan, but somebody's asking if this conference is going to be maybe shared live on social media, Facebook, or a streaming service of somehow.
Unfortunately, we don't have that technicality.
No, not to my knowledge. No, unfortunately, yeah.
But that's.
I couldn't see it happening if tickets were. You're selling tickets for $200, $225 US. I think
$200 US. I think. Yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah. I mean, we don't have the technology basically to do that, unfortunately. And it would be. I mean, maybe might be consideration for the next one, but at the moment it's going to be an in-person conference.
Okay, yeah, that's what I
Sure.
That's what I gather.
But it would be, I think it's a great idea, and we'll definitely
if you could
take it into consideration.
Get it
sure.
fully sponsored, all sorts of costs,
Absolutely.
and I think that wouldn't be an issue, right? But as you did mention, Kevin, there is overhead costs to think about and all the rest. So
plus the fact, the pandemic's taught us that we can operate and we do team calls and WhatsApp calls and whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being.
Oh yeah.
And I think I react and interact far better when I'm actually in a room with people.
Yeah.
And that's
the networking thing.
Well, the networking,
is fantastic.
It's the ability to be able to see somebody and actually look them in the eye properly. It's to be able to react to the situation, and it's an in-person conference is always going to be the best option.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's really interesting feedback, and it's one that we will definitely note.
Absolutely.
And we'll look into for the next one. The planning for the next one, we do these generally speaking every 2 years. We're a bit out of sync because of the pandemic, but the next conference will begin when this one's finished.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start looking into that as maybe an option moving forward.
The planning for that, yes.
Sure.
There's little segments you could always do that's streaming live, right? The opening segment, for example. Maybe small parts of it is always possible, but I would understand. I would think that the main goal is to get people in there, get them networking.
Yeah,
it is different when we're all together, right?
Again, you see somebody at either the main session or a breakout session, and you can grab them afterwards and have a really healthy debate on the topic, and it's always fantastic for networking and building up that kind of client base, contact base.
From the previous conferences, to your memory, I think you were here for the 2019 one.
I was,
right? And I'm sure, Kevin, you were here for previous ones. Then.
I've been involved in from the very first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say are maybe the biggest takeaways from those conferences, specific to Cayman?
The debates in the morning, I think. That's where, when I speak to a lot of the retail agents who come along, the developers who come along, they enjoy those presentations in the morning, sessions in particular, because it gives them an insight into what the thinking is. There's a lot of people going to be up on that stage who think strategically. They're not just developing today. They're thinking about, well, what do we do when this development's finished? What's our next plan? And be able to sort of interact with them is an extremely positive and productive experience.
Okay,
so we get a lot of positive feedback from the morning. Then it's not so we get negative about the afternoon, but as I mentioned before, it's a lot more technically based. And so from the surveyors that go, they all get their CPD, and we get a really good response back from them. It's always a bit of a challenge because you can never keep everybody happy. We've only got certain limited sessions, and there'll be somebody who thinks that a subject's been missed, but we take note of all that. Feedback is very, very important to us.
It is, yes.
Absolutely hugely important to us, and we'll take note of those. Those then get brought up at the next planning committee meeting, and we'll look at how we can fulfil those aspirations.
And it's also very important, with the grassroots aspect, we really want to promote the industry, and we want to see the next generation of surveyors coming up from the Cayman Islands, and all of these different topics. They may strike an interest in maybe even one or two aspiring surveyors, and that's our work done. It's really, really important that we get the next generation from the Cayman Islands in the industry.
Do we have a lot of Caymanians that are in this industry as surveyors?
We have a lot more coming up. In recent times, we'd like a lot more, and we would like to, like I said, generate that interest.
Kevin just kind of had was like, well, so look on his face.
We can. We're starting to, see
more interest
and more individuals from the Cayman Islands qualifying as chartered surveyors.
What would if this is a career they want to do, what would you suggest be their first step to take?
I would just say maybe contact one of us. Get in touch with the RCS Cayman chapter. Have a chat with us. Maybe we can do some work experience. Get an idea of what industry you think you might want to get into, and take it from there. Really.
I got to go to the 1 p.m. headline news, and then we're done, guys.
Okay, cool. No problem. But yeah, just to finish off on that, if anybody wants to come and talk, I work with JEC, BCQS, DDL. I mean, there's chart surveying firms here on the island. My door is always open if somebody wants to come. And on one note, I mean, I did raise my eyebrows because I'd like to see more locals coming through, but we have some incredible examples of little kids who've come through the process, and one of them is a committee member, Tracy Rankin.
Excellent.
She works at McAlpines. She's a really, really competent and capable QS, absolutely. Yep. And you know, she's making huge strides within the industry as and not just as a local Caymanian who's become a chartered surveyor. She's also female.
Yes.
And
a different profession than women are generally, you know, stereotyped to take.
It's a really, really fun profession. It really, really is, and that's why we're so passionate about it. And you know, if anyone wants to come and chat to us, like Kevin said, just get in touch, and we'll definitely point you in the right direction. So.
Awesome. I gotta go to headline news because we're 2 minutes over. I do want to say Eventbrite is where you can get the tickets. And also there's a number. Can I just share that number?
Yeah, absolutely.
938-2077. If you are trying to get tickets for Friday, April 29th at the Ritz-Carlton for the 5th annual RICS conference. We'll see you there, hopefully. All right? Thanks for joining us, guys.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Deputy Governor's 5K Challenge event in Grand Cayman, originally scheduled for April 24th, has been postponed until May 29th, 2022, due to unforeseen circumstances. All existing registrations will remain valid for the new date. Race packet pickup is rescheduled to May 26th and 27th. In international news, a small plane has crashed onto a major road in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, killing at least 6 people. The aircraft was on its way from the capital to the southeastern port town of Jacmel when it came down in the suburb of Carrefour. It injured several people on the ground. The pilot was one of those who initially survived, but died of his injuries in hospital later. Officials said engine failure was to blame. Shares in Netflix have slumped by 35% after it revealed a sharp drop in subscribers and warned millions more are set to quit the streaming service. It wiped more than $50 billion off the firm's market value as experts warned it faced a struggle to get back on track. Netflix faces intense competition from streaming rivals, but was also hit after it raised prices and left Russia. The Queen is celebrating her 96th birthday on Thursday in Sandringham. Britain's longest reigning monarch traveled by helicopter to her Norfolk estate, where she is being joined by family and friends. She is thought to be staying in a cottage particularly liked by her late husband, Prince Philip. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic, your life connected.
Raising children is costly. That is why each year the Ministry of Education provides, through its Early Childhood Assistance Program, funding to assist Caymanian children to attend an early childhood center. For early childhood funding assistance, call the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267, or download an application form from the ministry's website at www.gov.ky/education and email the completed form to ecap@gov.ky.
Put on your running shoes and head to the west. Running in the Republic. It's a West Bay thing. For the 5th year running, CUC proudly presents the West Bay Sunrise 5K Fun Run Walk, raising money for the Sunrise Adult Training Center and the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. Everyone is welcome. It's $15 for adults and $10 for under 17s. Check-in time is 5:30 a.m. Saturday, May 21st at Restaurante Papagayo. Register now at caymanactive.com. It's the West Bay Sunrise 5K Fun Run Walk, brought to you by CUC.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public would say.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks, and in studio with me this afternoon we have George Smith, who is the president of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society, and we are hoping, George whispered in my ear, that he did talk to the minister today, and we're hoping that Minister J. Ebanks is coming in, Minister for Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, and we're going to be talking about food security, which is a really big deal globally, and the livestock importation update and all things agriculture.
All things agriculture.
All right, so welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. I have to say, you are my favorite guest. George knows how to win me over, everybody. He came in and said, "I love your nails." And I was like, wow, you are my favorite guest now, because no male has given me this compliment that has come in to talk today.
That's the farmer's touch.
Yes, absolutely. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Compliments go a long way.
All right. I agree with you totally.
Absolutely. So I think the livestock importation update is where we should focus on, because I know I probably have quite a few questions on food security and the understanding of that. So if we could touch on the livestock importation update.
Okay. Yes, the government of the day saw it fit to give the Agricultural Society a grant to import 180 head of cattle, and we should be getting also 30 to 50 head of goats. just for clarity, sorry, just for clarity, is that the money is going to be used as seed money, where we go and we purchase and when we bring them back, we sell them and we take that money again and go again. All right, but just there's a process that has to be done. For example, the cattle and goats has to be quarantined in the U.S. or wherever we purchase them for 30 days.
Is this normal?
Yes.
Okay, so this is even pre-COVID.
Yes.
This would happen. Okay.
Absolutely, and they would have to go through a series of tests, blood work and everything, and then the application is submitted to the Department of Agriculture here.
What is the purpose of them being quarantined?
Well, just to make sure that we do not import any diseases that we do not have here. Okay. Because it's similar like how the Cayman Islands is rabies free. We want to keep it, free from any other diseases that animals bring in.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So and the animals will be on sale on the 30th of this month, Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, they're here.
Yes.
They came in on Thursday. And we are excited. Our farmers are excited because this is new genetics into the herd. So definitely, it would lead right into what you're talking about with food security, because we're on an island, and I think sometimes we forget that we are on an island, even though things are great.
I don't know who's forgetting. But yes, when it comes to, I guess, selecting these animals, what's the process that you go through? How do you decide, this cattle over here is better than over here when we talk to these farmers or whoever's selling them to?
Yeah. Well, what happens is that, okay, in the Cayman Islands, the climate is a little different from anywhere else. Yes. When I say that is, let's just use Florida for as an example. Florida is hot, but in Cayman it's hot and humid. Mm-hmm. If you notice, when you're here, you sweat a lot more than when you're in the States, right?
Yes.
So basically, we could purchase seed stock animals, but they're going to cost a lot more. All right. When I say a seed stock, that means a better breed animal. Okay. But what we have found is that a lot of the full breds per se doesn't do well in the Cayman Islands. All right. When I say full bred of a certain breed.
Yes.
Okay. That is
like
relative.
A purebred.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking dogs now. So
exactly.
I'm going to associate what you're saying to dogs.
Yeah. So if you want to clear it up, it's sort of like if you went to buy a purebred German Shepherd and brought him to the Cayman Islands, he would do well inside the house, maybe with air conditioning. But if you put him out in the humidity and our terrain,
yes,
he's not going to do so well.
I'm gonna put a husky in there instead of a German Shepherd. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
So that's the whole thing. Is basically we got to look at basically what suits us on the island, and that's how we basically choose which ones that we have found from previous importations that has done well.
Okay, very interesting. All right, so it doesn't have to be necessarily full bred, as you said.
No.
Okay, now joining us in studio this afternoon, which I'm very thankful for, is Minister for Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, the Honourable J.E. Banks. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My apologies for being late. Running from one meeting to the other.
That's okay. I didn't even think you were going to come. I was like, okay, I know it's your constituency day, and I offered a number for you to call in if you were able to do that to make it easier. So I appreciate you coming in to join us this afternoon.
Absolutely. Agriculture means a lot to me, so I would not miss it.
Excellent. We're just talking about the livestock importation update. And so George was giving us a little bit of information that the animals are going on sale
the 30th.
Yes. Saturday, April 30th. Mm-hmm. And the animals arrived last week Thursday, right?
Last week Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you talked about the quarantine process for them in the U.S., but they don't have to go through the same process here?
Yes, they're not for the 30 days. Basically, they're here at the department's holding facility.
Okay.
Just basically observing just to make sure that, everything is okay.
That no raccoons ran in with them and and they got bit. They're good.
Yeah.
Feel you okay.
So far, they're doing good, so.
Okay. What was the big reason for your ministry to decide to say, hey, we're going to give around $350,000 to help with this livestock importation? What was the push behind that?
Well, to be honest with you, when I first met with the farmers and we got a head count of how many cattle that we saw, and we understand from the supermarkets that the local beef was actually taking off, and we didn't want it to actually move going in the right direction, and all of a sudden it slowed down because we didn't have enough cattle on the island. So that's when we took the approach to say, okay, reach back out to the society, asked them what number they thought would be perfect for them to try to get their herds back up to, and they gave me that. I went back to the government came back fully supportive of it, and that's where we're at today with bringing in our first 48, is it?
44
yes. That came in the other night.
Okay, excellent. So that sounds like a bit of a demand and supply thing. So there was quite a lot of local demand on the local beef.
That's correct.
And we were looking that we're not going to be able to supply according to what this demand is looking, so we need to bring in more cattle. Well, I think that's a great thing that there's more of a local demand for the local beef.
I mean, it's definitely, I would say that our local beef is comparison with any foreign beef per se. And just think about it, it's fresher. I mean, if you've noticed, an animal has to go to the abattoir to be slaughtered before any beef or pork that you see in the supermarket went through the right process, going through the abattoir, and then went to the supermarkets. And I'm saying that is probably, let's just say, give and take, 4 days. While if you purchase from overseas, it takes 4 days to get here.
That too. So that's
that's
8 days right there.
The plus right there for us. Yeah.
Right. And I had only this Christmas I found out about the local beef cutting that happens, and that you can go in and buy your beef ready to cook, and beef that's already cooked for you there. So I was blown away. I think it's Mr. Myrie. Susan, you might be able to fill me in. But Donna Myrie's dad, that's what I know. And I was just, why didn't all these years nobody told me? So I wasn't able to get the beef then. But to me, it's also a fascinating part of Caymanian culture. So I think it's a very important thing for us to upkeep for sure.
Absolutely.
We got to go to a commercial break right now, and when we return, we will be discussing food security and the livestock importation update with President George Smith of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society and Honourable Minister J.E. Banks from the Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Research tells us that the best age for parents to start having conversations with their children about the dangers of underage drinking is when their kids are 9 years old. Studies show that parents have a significant influence on young people's decision to drink. So talk, they are listening. The NDC offers parents advice on how to talk to their children about underage drinking and prepares you for the tough questions like, did you drink as a child? For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
It's Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary, and we're celebrating with you. If it's your 50th birthday in 2022, we have a $50 gift card for you. If you're celebrating your 50th wedding anniversary or higher, it's $500. We'll also donate $50,000 to charities and increase the rewards for store purchases too. Purchases of $500 will receive branded gifts, while purchases of $100 gain entry into our monthly sweepstakes with prizes from luxury brands. View terms and conditions on kirkfreeport.com.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks, and in studio with me this afternoon, we're welcoming, who just joined us, the Honourable Minister J.E. Banks, Minister for Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, and President of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society, George Smith. We're talking about right now the livestock importation update. And to our listeners, I'm sorry that I didn't give you the numbers to call in case you don't have them memorized. I don't have them memorized either. 1-800-534-8255. 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp me a comment at 925-3261. And I definitely will need somebody to remind me to give the big 104 happy birthday celebrations to a local Caymanian. Just remind me to give those birthday messages later, but it just popped in my mind. So let's pick up on where we were at, which was, I think, Mr. Ebanks, the last question I asked you was, what was that big push to bring, to give the $350,000 to the Agricultural Society to bring in the cattle and, not just cattle, goats as well. And so you explained that part there, right? And we're looking now for the 30th that they're going to be on sale.
Yes.
So what's the process there? This is for farmers strictly?
No, the minister insists that everyone on the island can basically, if they're interested, because his vision is to push agriculture in a new direction where everybody gets involved. And I think that's a great thing. And as we were talking about earlier, where sometimes I think we forget we are on an island, which is a small one.
Yes.
So, agriculture and food security is definitely paramount for sure. So, without a doubt, he insisted that, you open it up to the whole public, so it's not just farmers. And they also insisted that we sell them at a reduced price. So that is the government's contribution. When I say that, is that it's an enormous contribution.
Excellent.
Definitely.
And any other areas that you want to work on right now on strengthening the livestock numbers?
Well, part of this importation, there's a certain amount that can be slaughtered, and then there's certain that goes into the breeding program.
Okay.
So that will strengthen it overall, for sure.
Okay.
Yep. So some animals cannot be slaughtered, some can. Okay. And they insisted on that also, that, sort of to strike the balance. That he alluded to it earlier where you didn't want to lose your market share in the supermarkets because people is gravitating to local products more, and supply was basically going down. So that's
I don't know if you gentlemen will have the knowledge on this, but how does that deal work with the supermarket? Is it government that strikes the deal? Is it the Agriculture Society? Is it just individual vendors themselves, individual farmers themselves that have, produce or beef to sell? Do they individually strike up that deal? They do, okay.
The government doesn't get involved into it. We allow that to go between the vendors and the supermarkets to negotiate their deals on how they take their animals versus their vegetation stuff, whatever they're doing.
I think I've heard a common complaint being let me take eggs, for example. The cost of eggs will be pretty much, the local eggs will be the same as imported eggs. And people are finding that with different things, mangoes, even though for me, I'm like, why would you buy a mango in the supermarket here? But I have done it. I do not know everybody with a mango tree, unfortunately. I need to know these people.
Okay.
But, sometimes the complaints from residents will be, but the local produce and beef, meats is the same or maybe even more expensive than what's being imported and selling in the supermarket. Do we know any explanations for that?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the egg one, because we're working on the very first thing coming into this election and winning was an egg strategy policy that we wanted to work on, because I always thought that this island could sustain itself on a lot of things. And if the other Caribbean islands can do it, I feel that the Cayman Islands can do it. So one thing we started, we thought the egg strategy policy was our closest low-lying fruit that we could pick to get going right away and get moving. We've just about almost ready with that. We had the supermarkets on board with it. There's a whole new packaging to all the farmers. There's going to be programs that are run to teach the farmers how to handle their produce and get them in there. And the thing is, we want to be able to sustain the island. We're hoping within 2 years we could get it up to about 40 to 50%. Depends on how the market grows. Then hopefully one of these days the island will be able to sustain itself where we don't have to import no more eggs on here.
Shout out to Dan's Delight, which is a local producer for eggs, because that's who I be buying all the time at Kirk Supermarket is Dan's Delight eggs. I know he brings a box for Sterling sometimes, so I have to get it on that deal. But that is definitely, at least for me, when it comes to buying local in the supermarkets, I always go for the eggs. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, and poultry is another one too that I think we can sustain ourselves on, and we'll be working into that.
Because do we sell local chicken? I've never.
There are some farmers that do local chickens, but I don't think they sell any into the grocery stores.
No,
basically, come and buy it directly from them.
And I think as local as I get with that is probably Best Dressed Chicken coming out of Jamaica.
Yeah.
Again, feeling just for some reason that there's more of a safety in the quality of the poultry, really, and just knowing it's right there. I know what's going on in Jamaica. They don't have the crazy, I guess the crazy farms that a lot of us are concerned with when it comes to animal welfare, even though they're going to end up.
But that's one of the things too that as the minister was just talking about with the egg strategy. Basically, trying to make sure that we tick all of the boxes to make sure that we are sanitary and wholesome. You know, so to reassure the public that yes, you know, basically this is the product that we can vouch for. So that's why we're going through a certain amount of steps now to bring it up to standard.
And when did you start with this strategy? Because this, to me, it's the first time I heard about it. So
yeah, it's been tight-lipped for us some time. We have actually a new logo design and everything that should be out within another month or so. And I think everybody would actually like the design of it. And then the cards will be packaged with the Cayman logo on there, but also with the farmer's ribbon to put their farm logo on there, saying which farm it's coming from. So we're all helping out so that the farmers can make sure they're pushing their product out, that they know people are knowing that, hey, this farm's from West Bay, this one's from North Side, wherever it's from. You know, I'm supporting local. But I would tell you that it's been about 6 months in the making right now.
Anything else you can tell us about the strategy? Because I know our newsroom is listening and they're going to...
Yeah, they are. They're probably buzzing, but I'm going to save the better part for next month when we start to roll out a little bit more of it.
Yes. Well, at least I got a bit of a buzz from
you. Got a buzz of it.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll send the logo so you can have a snapshot of it or something.
But what I like about the logo is the packaging will be a local packaging. We know it's a Cayman product.
It's a Cayman product.
So it's not like we have to figure it out going, really detailed, looking at like egg cartons, for example. We're going to know right away that this is a Cayman product, and then it'll be detailed which farmer you're getting from. So at least you know that as well.
And all of those farmers will meet the same standards. So that's why we're saying that, and as the minister rightfully just said, I must say that I've never met a minister that has so much ambition when it comes to agriculture. When I say that is that the minister is available 24/7, and he's like, agriculture is pumping through his wings, when
Are you a farmer as well?
Not as much as I would love to, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, it's not my thing, but my family, my mom grew up on a farm. My family still has a farm, and this is in Eastern Europe, so it's quite a ways away. But I will say that during the pandemic, and going to the grocery stores, waiting on the days I could go, and then the lines and all the rest, and not seeing, certain things on shelves where a lot of produce just wasn't coming in, just not on shelves. That was so frightening to me, because you're hearing what's going on in at least America. So most of the news I'm hearing is just mostly from the U.S. But when we go into the food security part, the pandemic, the number one thing it taught me, aside from people need each other, we need human connection, is about food security, and that I need to learn how to start growing some things, whether it's tomatoes, and I know we got a couple green thumbs up in here in Radio Cayman, so I'm fascinated by learning that about some of my colleagues. But it's so important, just the smaller things, whether it's lettuce, spinach, so like I mentioned tomatoes. There's so many different kind of fruits that we can grow in the Cayman Islands, right? So I think things are possible, but it was a very scary thing. And I don't want what's happening in America to be happening here, but we're we're at the very end of that supply chain, right? I don't know if you'd mentioned that earlier, George, or if that was my last guess in the last topic, but we are at the end of that supply chain, so we are dependent on what is being shipped to us. And I'm sure you're both familiar with the stories of trains being basically brought down, and the, what do you call them, like the train carts, just being raided, and full of food, just being raided, and that food never making it to that destination, clearly, because it was raided, people took it. And it's been happening quite a lot. So that's a very scary thing, thinking you're going to have your deliveries, and it's not coming in at all. So it's not making it to the ship. It's not making it to the Cayman Islands. Americans are worried about their food supply, but we're at the real tail end of it, so we get even less.
But that's one of the reasons also that we would encourage people to support local farmers, because if you support them, most likely you'd have more food available on island. If, for example, if a farmer knew that you guys were buying eggs every week from him.
Yes.
Obviously, he's going to keep his supply up, right? Because he know he has X amount of customers. But if persons is not supporting local farmers, then he's basically spending his money in vain. and he has to probably give away or throw away half of his supplies.
What are the challenges from the local farmers? Like, from what you're hearing from their side, what are their biggest challenges?
Well, the Cayman Islands is unique, right? So we can't really compare it to any other island per se. So some of the challenges that the farmers have, like compared to if you look at Jamaica, for example, Jamaica, where because they borrowed money from the IMF, they basically said, hey, you need to put in X, Y, Z in order to feed your own people. Here, the government and the minister and his government has been supportive in every which way possible. For example, we get our feed as a subsidized rate. All of the feed that's imported in the Cayman Islands is not medicated. So you basically know what you're getting, right? And because, like, as we always say, if you went to North Side and bought something, we don't want to say, well, okay, when you came to West Bay, is something different. Everybody's basically feeding the same way, all right, with the same feeds. So the challenges, as you rightfully said, is sometimes to get the product here, but it's not because the supply is not there. It's just that when the supply gets to the factory, because of COVID, for example, a lot of persons were out sick.
Yep.
So, or if
personnel shortage.
Exactly, truckers going
production
on strike.
shortage.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed with my Canadian truckers there. I understand a little bit of it, but I don't even think they understood what they were doing. Unfortunately, it's true. We have 3 calls online, I believe. So let's take those calls. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm grateful, truly grateful. I would just like to take this opportunity to say I'm really pleased to hear what the government have in store. The reason is, and it's just a form of confirmation. This morning, after I had my prayer time, and I was in the kitchen, I heard a voice said to me, the government should stock up on at least 6 months to a year worth of supply of food. And I'm like, huh? Why not say the supermarket? And the voice said, no, the government, because it's going to come to that day. And, I just want to give God thanks for the way that he's directing this government in terms of, the plans that they have put forward. And please keep this in mind, that somewhere along the line, you need to stock up for at least 6 months to a year worth supply for the island, because, so you'll be blessed, take care, and I pray and I trust that God will continue to lead and direct you guys as you go along on your everyday journey to lead the Cayman Islands. All right, take care. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your comments. Did you guys want to comment on that before we go to the next caller?
Well, I'm going to say, and honestly, that's exactly what we're saying, where the minister and his government, that is their vision. Their vision is to make sure that, the Cayman Islands is not left out to dry, per se, what the local would say, right? So that's the first thing that he said, what it is that we need to do in order to help the Cayman Islands become a little bit more self-sustainable. And, as he rightfully said, there's other things in the pipeline, but, he's going to release them as they see fit.
Right.
Because, it's not good to give you all your gifts one time, right? So I think that him and his government has quite a lot that they have planned and will release on a later date.
All right.
You're absolutely right, and she is right, and I thank the caller for calling in and giving us those. But food security is one thing that is really meaningful to the government, and that's something that we really are looking at. So much so that we want to look to our family, friends, and sisters to the Jamaica to be able to do a little bit more trading with them, do a little bit more trading with Nicaragua, with Belize, Costa Rica, Honduras, those are the countries that we will be looking out in the future to open up the logistic markets with them, see what we can actually get from South America a little bit more. There's a lot of it that's coming to the island. It's passing us by, going into Florida, and then Florida coming back here. So if we can actually get down to that side of the island, down the world, and get it to stop here before it goes that far, freshness is what it's all about. But then having another connection, because as we see what's happening in the U.S., there's certain things that are drying up in the U.S., and we're not getting the best that can get out of there. So we definitely need to look over to there. And in the future, within the next month or so, I know me and the Premier will be down in Jamaica actually having some discussions and talks some more, with doing a little bit more trading with Jamaica.
Is there anything, we have 2 more calls, but right before we go to the next call, is there anything hindering the trade policy with the smaller countries? You mentioned Nicaragua. I know Colombia is a huge producer with food as well. So is there anything hindering right now us trading with the smaller places?
One of the biggest problems that I've heard from most of the markets are the logistic part is getting the shipment from Colombia to here directly. How the routes of getting that done. That's probably the most hindrance part of it. If we could figure out how we're going to get all of that here, which I think probably it's, Jamaica's probably one of the biggest hub in the Caribbean. So if we can get them to go there to Jamaica, maybe to here, that's what we're going to try to figure out how we can get this done.
All right.
And then the other part that I found is some of the markets have told us, well, a lot of the stuff that they find on the South America side is all Spanish labeled. So if they could get maybe a labeling with maybe Spanish and English on it, it will be something else that they look at. Of course, they're saying that
there's some sending that to the U.S., so I don't see what the problem is.
I'm hoping we can get that very sorted out. That it shouldn't be too hard to figure that one out.
Exactly, right. Let's take our next caller. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Cassie.
Yes, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I know you're here for that birthday greeting, which I opened up my phone message from you to say.
No, I'll leave that to you. I'm
right.
just calling, and I wanted to say a good afternoon to your guest. I think is the Honorable Minister J.
Yes.
And also, I think it's George.
That's right.
Well, no, it's Lulu. It was Lulu Smith sometimes with a little toddler.
Yes.
But I just been hearing on your show, and it's really music to my ears, and I want to congratulate the minister, the government, our Cultural Society, and all the other stakeholders for the work that you're doing. I also want to congratulate the minister on the roads program as well, and the NRA. I spoke to him the other day to thank him for the work that's been done up at Rum Point at Kemankai area with Sandpoint Road and Waterkey Road. But I just want to say a few brief things on agriculture. Like I said, what you're talking about, the egg program and the other food security, I think is very, very critical. I really wish you the best and congratulate you on it. There was in 1984, 85, there was a study done by a group called the Caribbean Central American Action, and it was done under the auspices of the Caribbean Basin Initiative program, which was one of President Ronald Reagan's initiatives for the Caribbean. And Cayman was part of that study, and we launched a program called the Buy Caymanian Campaign. Minister and Lulu might be aware of it or recall it. Mr. Norman Borden was the Minister for Trade then in agriculture. Not agriculture, but trade came under him, and I think at that time agriculture might have been under Mr. Captain Eldon, Captain Kirkconnell, Charles Kirkconnell. But the point I'm trying to make is that I don't know if you have access to that report and that work, but it's really some good stuff that came out of the research. I mean, it's dated, but it's still very relevant. And I was talking over the weekend with Mr. Alfred Benjamin, who is the former retired Chief Agriculture and Veterinary Officer. And we're talking about the same thing about agriculture, food security, and the like. And one of the things that I want to say to the Minister before I leave the call is two things, really. One is that the use of agricultural land, beautiful land, particularly in our Midland area, which is the breadbasket of the country in terms of agriculture. I mean, we got also north side and east end too. We got farmland, but I'm really starting to get very depressed to see so much beautiful farmland with that beautiful red soil, red mold we call it, just being, dug up, and then Mars being put in, and we're seeing residential development. So I'm wondering whether there's any strategy around zoning and particularly preserving some of the land for agriculture purposes, even if it means government buying it or subsidizing the owners of those properties to be able to lease or develop it for agriculture. And the second thing I want to say and suggest and leave for thought is one of the strategies with local agriculture and local sustainability in terms of diversifying our economy is tariffs. And tariffs it could be a bad word, but what happens in many cases with agriculture policy is that countries impose tariffs on imports of certain items that can be produced or sourced locally to make sure that the local farmers or producers can compete with the normally low-priced imports, which is not normally the case, not always, normally. So I just want to leave those points with you concerning reserving property for agriculture development, and also looking at that report from 86 about Buy Caymanian and see whether tariffs might be something to look at as part of your strategy. But congratulations, all the best with this initiative, and certainly people like Dr. Benjamin and others, I'm sure you reach out to provide some history. But you're on to a good thing, Minister and colleagues. So keep it up, and thanks for your time. I'll leave now unless you have a question for me. But again, thank you. Kathy, thanks again.
Thanks, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you. Just to touch base, that's Mario. That is something that I'm looking into, of actually how we can secure some properties that will actually be for farming use only. And that's one thing when I put this planning committee together that I want them to actually look at, so that we can identify areas that we can zone that will just be for agricultural use only. One of the things that my team is actually working on now too is a land lease policy, which we're going to start to be rolling out very shortly. It's another one of the gifts, but I didn't want to tell you. But we'll be rolling out that shortly, where we can actually be able to lease farmland back out to farmers to be able to farm in 1 acre lots as we go along.
I love that.
I told you he's full of surprises.
You're right. See, George, there's a reason you're my favorite. We got to go to a commercial break right now, and I know we got another caller, so hang on. We're going to get your call and your comments right after this break.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
On April 23rd, Pena Duty Free is opening a brand new store. Join us for the launch of Pena Leather Goods and Accessories at 40 Royal Plaza, Edward Street. Shop and experience a selection of high-quality leather bags and accessories by brands such as Kate Spade and Foodlock. Enjoy live entertainment and complimentary drinks and bites. Visit Pena Duty Free Facebook for more information.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Caymans Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and we are going to be continuing our discussion with the President of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society, George Smith, and Minister for Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, the Honourable Jay Ebanks. We do have another caller online. I hope that caller is still there. Susan? Yeah. All right, let's take that call. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Kathy. Good afternoon, Minister. And good afternoon, George Lulu.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing today? Thanks for the call.
I am very well blessed.
Excellent.
Yeah. Mario touched on a few items that I were going to bring up. That's land. I know in the North Side Frank Sound area at one point, you had to have a certain size property because it was zoned for agriculture. I don't know if that's still the case. However, a nice place to farm is Cayman Brack, believe it or not. On that bluff, oh my goodness, it grows like wildfire there.
You're absolutely right, sir. And I should have said this from the start. Anything that we do in Grand Cayman, I've promised the people in the BRAC that they will not be left alone. So when we spoke about land lease policy and for farmlands, that included the BRAC also, looking for farmland in the BRAC to be able to subdivide into 1 acre lots to help them for farming too.
Good. Not only that, the BRAC should be left for us. But that's another topic, another day. The lady that called in about stockpiling, it is very hard unless you got cold storage to stockpile meat.
Yeah.
And also local grown vegetables and herbs and stuff. It ain't easy to stockpile those. I can tell you, my secret store is Foster's Savannah. Trust me, as you come in the door, you can see, and it's so beautiful, and the taste. If they have the tomatoes and the cucumbers, and oh my goodness, I go wild. No, I'm serious. I will not buy another product unless the local ones are not available. I don't care how expensive they are. I go and I buy it because when you take that home and you put that, let's say the tomatoes, you set that on the table for a day. Oh my goodness, the aroma that hits you, you don't get that out of the foreign tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And the taste.
And
the taste, yes.
Yes, oh goodness, don't talk about the taste. And the cucumbers and so forth, the ones that are imported, you have to put them in the fridge because they will spoil very quickly. On top of importations, has anyone given consideration to Mexico? Because they have the best oranges you can find, citrus on a whole, and especially in the area called Montemorelos and Monterrey. Oh my goodness, you can, and that's like the world's capital for these products, citrus. They also have beans and so forth. And it's very reasonable. I don't know what it would cost to ship or whether we fly Cayman Air over there, and if I would love to fly Cayman Air because my wife, when she go home, it'll be easy. But
yeah, we haven't looked at doing any trading with Mexico from the agriculture side. That's the first I've known about them with the citrus, but I do know we were looking at Belize, just to name them back over: Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, Colombia, Costa Rica, and Jamaica, and some parts of Cuba. There's certain things out of Cuba. Certain people have been reaching out to me too to say if we can do any trading with them.
All right.
And they grow all natural like how we do here, no fertilizers and that kind of. It's awesome.
Just to add, is that we probably didn't mention it earlier, where the minister insisted that the cattle that was imported, a certain amount has to go to the BRAC also. So as he said, they're not leaving the BRAC out at all.
I too would love to have them, but I can't handle them anymore. But I know my brother will.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for your call and your comments.
Thank you too.
All right. So it's good getting the feedback from our listeners and their input as well. Clearly, we know it's a concern for people.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking of food security for the Cayman Islands, it is a really big it's a really big issue. It's a topical issue worldwide. What are our first steps in trying to get ahead of this?
Well, our first steps is just, reaching out with the countries and getting dialogue and communications going with them and talking with seeing what they actually can help with us with trading. We've, just last week we were on the phone with CARICOM with them, and they're actually helping us also to see how we can actually go out to help us get into knocking on the doors of these other countries. And some of them they are actually on board with CARICOM. So CARICOM could actually help us also to tell us, okay, well, we don't have to reinvent the wheel already because they probably already got most of it done for us. And, it's as when Lulu first started, it's all about making sure that whatever we're bringing here, we're pesticide free. We're not bringing any pesticides, anything that's going to harm the country. So that is a big important way I feel that no one has ever looked at doing too much trading with some of the countries before, because we've been free of most of these pests that's in South America. So it's going to be a lot of communication dialogue that has to go along with them before we can actually open doors up and start to import from them. But if we don't start now, we'll never get there to get open. So
right, and those dialogues have begun already.
And it has begun already.
And now that's from a more of a macro, I guess, point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking at the individual, somebody like myself, what are the tips that you would suggest to me in dealing with the food supply issue?
Well, we get a lot of farmers. We get a lot of farmers that import a lot of stuff already. And, those farmers would come to us and say, hey, I would like to import this also, but, I need a license to import this, and can I import this? So what we do is agriculture will go back and they'll do the research on that product and research and find where they can actually import it, if there's any disease in that area or whatever. And if it's something that they think that they can bring here that will be disease-free and it won't harm the environment here, then we can actually issue them a license to do the importing of whatever product they want to bring in.
Okay.
And just so that the listeners would hear and understand that the ministers also has insisted that they're not going to go to any other country and bring back things to compete against our local farmers, because I know that by the time we get off the radio, I'll get a million calls.
Yeah.
But he is
What do you mean
insisted.
by that? That I don't understand.
When I say that is that, like, for example, if our farmers have excess eggs, then we are not going to go elsewhere and bring eggs to compete against our locals.
Oh, got you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're looking to make the percentage
exactly
a little bit more advantageous for local.
When you spoke about mangoes and you were talking about mangoes, and you can get local mangoes and then you get imported mangoes,
Yeah.
We want to make sure that at any time that our local crop season is going, that, and as one of the callers alluded to before, maybe that's something that we may have to put tariffs on during certain crop seasons, so that our locals can actually look into. I know not everyone likes to use that word tariff, but it may have to be something that you may have to look into. I've seen too many farmers have to dump too much of their stuff because they couldn't sell it, because they couldn't compete with what was being imported. So we just wanted to make sure that the farmers know that when we're going out, and that was one of the first things that before I told my team I would go out, start negotiating with other countries about importing, is that we had to have the blessing of the local farm industry first. We had that conversation with them, and we sat down, we told them that this is what it is, but we need to look at another route of getting product here instead of just relying on the United States alone.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, and I hope that does come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you have to go. You have a 2, and we're a couple minutes away from that. So if you wanted anything else you wanted to share with our listeners before you have to make your exit.
If there's no more callers, then I just want to thank you all for having me here today. As I've always been committed, I'm committed to every one of my departments. I have a passion for everything I do. What I do here, I love my ministry. Agriculture means a lot to me. That's why I've been dedicated to them on anything that they want. We've got so many other things happening in the pipeline for them that have, some people tell me it's been 25 years, they've been asking for certain things and they're just getting it now. I said maybe it took
Wow.
the boat a little bit longer to get here with
Like
certain things.
like what? That's a
I'll
long time.
leave that for them for the groundbreaking of certain things that'll be here
Okay.
very shortly.
all right, all right.
But
Those
I
are the
do-
gifts I get later. Yes.
Yes. But I have to tell you, some of it was also already in the wheel making from the previous agriculture minister. So she had already had it started for me. So I just had to continue just pushing it to get it to the very goalpost that we're coming to now.
That's great. I like that. I like the continuation of work that was implemented by a previous government as well.
Yes.
Right. So that's important. That kind of collaboration is also important. So, all right. Thank you very
Well,
much.
Thank you. And thank you all for having me. And hopefully, after the first lineup of these cattle on the 30th, we can come back in and let you know how that success of that went and
Absolutely.
everything else.
And I know you want to come on more, and I know who to get in touch with for us to arrange that. So I'll do so, and then hopefully we'll get more updates from you in all the various sectors of your ministry.
Well, I
that
promise
focus
you
on.
that, yes. I'm looking forward to wanting to be on the radio once a month, probably a Thursday afternoon, maybe like sometime around this time now. I'll try to do once a month for you.
Well, that more breaking news on Radio Cayman. We're going to have you every day now. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you all.
for
And before I
joining
go,
us.
I just want to
Where
say...
are you going? We have you for a couple more minutes. Wow.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
No,
just yet.
while the minister is here, I just want to publicly thank him and his government for their support, because it's really good news to the farming sector. You know, when you have a minister that is pushing for them and trying to make the Cayman Islands a little bit more self-sustainable.
Absolutely, and like a genuine interest.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I enjoy with this discussion particularly is, to me, you're speaking from the heart, Minister, and it's not a bunch of very carefully crafted PR notes for you to read from. It's speaking from the heart,
Yes.
and that's important, and it can be felt, and I can hear you're very much interested in this. So I'm glad that you have agriculture under your ministry, and that this is something that George is attesting to, that there's major changes seen, and farmers are saying, hey, it's been 25 years, certain things haven't happened, but they're in the pipeline now.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just this week here, we were actually in Florida for the agriculture show in Florida, and we took back so much to learn for that show to be able to implement into our next show. And it was one good thing is we were there, we met with one of the feed guys that were here. And, you know, that's another thing that we have coming in here. We're going to be introducing a new feed line for cattle that'll be coming in very shortly, too. So, again, breaking news.
And more. All right. You are welcome back every day. Thank you so much. You're almost at your 2 p.m., so I'm not going to make him late. I'm not going to be responsible for anybody else being late. But thanks for joining us again. And George, we only do have a couple minutes left, but I know you Susan said, let's go to her first. So we're going to go to her because we did miss a commercial break. You know, sometimes we got to miss them when the convo is flowing right.
All right.
Commercial break, and then the 2 p.m. news headline, and then we're going to swing back to you.
All right.
All right.
This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman. Praise time.
So send me, Lord, I will go.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. On Wednesday, April 20th, police reported to a shooting said to have taken place on Oakland Close in Windsor Park, Georgetown. One man received gunshot wounds to the abdomen and was transported to the hospital. He was being treated for possible life-threatening injuries, but is now in stable condition. Detectives are appealing for anyone who was present to come forward and provide information by calling the Georgetown Police Station at 949-4222 or confidential tip line at 949-7777. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden announces an additional $800 million security assistance package for Ukraine. Biden says the aid, including heavy artillery weapons, ammunition, and tactical drones, will be sent directly to the front lines of freedom. Florida lawmakers have voted to strip Walt Disney of its special self-governing status amid a political clash between the company and the governor. The status gave Disney powers to levy tax, build roads, and control utilities on the lands of its theme park. The move is widely seen as retribution for Disney's opposition to the so-called Don't Say Gay law. Signed by Governor Ron DeSantis, it bars primary school teachers from discussing sexual orientation. Police in Florida have arrested a bride and her caterer after finding they allegedly added cannabis to food that was later served to wedding guests. The arrests come some 2 months after officials were called to the wedding to assist guests who said they felt as though they had been drugged. They face charges of tampering, negligence, and delivery of marijuana. Responding deputies wrote in their incident report that several of the 50 guests present reported feeling weird after eating meatballs, Caesar salad, tortellini, and bread with an olive oil and herb dip. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And having just left our studio was Minister J. Ebanks, and still in studio with me is George Smith, who is the president of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society. And I've come to learn his, I guess, pet name. Was it Lulu?
Yes.
Yeah, Lulu. I was about to say Tutu, so we're sticking with Lulu here. I just want to read a comment that came in from one of our listeners via WhatsApp. And it was a little earlier when we were talking about the local items in the store. The comment goes, yes, there's not much local items in the store, but also they will put a higher price on it than the farmer they bought it from. So I prefer going to buy it from the farmer himself. Also, the market is only in town. What about the other districts? Especially, we have a place here where they can also set to, I don't know what she means here, so I can't say the rest of the comment, but I think the person might be in West Bay. So I'm getting the gist of this comment is, what about markets in other places?
Well, I'm definitely not going to take it on my head to say anything. I know that quite a number of things is in the pipeline, as the minister rightfully just said prior to him leaving. So I'm just going to say just hold tight for a little bit, and he will make the announcements. But definitely we haven't left out any district. I overheard a conversation one day when he said, yes, I used to work for you, but now I'm working for the people of the Cayman Islands, so they have to come first. And I'm like, okay, I'm impressed, because that's a good thing. So definitely, I know he's passionate about it, and he has a lot on his plate, but he's definitely finding time to look at all of those suggestions.
Okay, excellent. And well, we know things are happening because he dropped some gems. So we know that things are definitely happening, at least from the agriculture side. So I can imagine there's things happening in the other sections of his ministry, right? But we're focused on agriculture right now. So we do know that farmers had a real big hit. A lot of the island had a real big hit in the summertime when we had Tropical Storm Grace, and I forget the other one that came right before or after, but it was like literally a week apart with these storms. And it, the claim is that they didn't hit Cat 1. I think visually that was hard to believe, but the damage that was done, I've been here with Cat 3s coming through, and it hasn't been damaged like that. So I was quite blown away, which is probably not the right phrase to use right now, by the damage. So with those farmers that have had to recoup from that, it's I don't know how many months it's been now, maybe 6-7 months, but can you tell us what that process has been like for them to somewhat get back to where they need to be?
Definitely, Grace seems to have been one of those tropical storms that targeted just the fruit trees per se. I mean, the farmers, if their trees wasn't damaged, they were down. And we got to say a big thank you to the Department of Agriculture, for getting out there early and assisting the farmers also. But they have recovered quite well. So the mango season, will not be peak as norm, but definitely it will be a decent season.
But from what I'm hearing from the people who are producing mangoes, that it's a crazy season for them. Like, they're having a great, so I'm like, oh. So it's unfortunate for the people that lost their trees, but it's almost like the people who are bearing.
Yes,
it's
they're making
much.
up for it.
Yeah, they're making up for that. I believe we have a caller online. Yes, let's take that call. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon, my dear, and good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Are we still on the subject of agriculture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know how long some of our memories go, but I know that some years ago, when McKeever Bush was a minister he had many ministries under his cap.
Yes.
They were making connections with Honduras to get some of their produce. Well, so far that was just talk, and it blew away like the hot air. Then along came PPM, and they did the same thing. Both parties, they carry people down to Honduras, and they can do this and they do that. That was also hot air. But many years before that many of you may not know or are not old enough to know, we used to get a lot of produce from Costa Rica, and that was the days of when Laxa used to fly in here, and like for the hotels and stuff, they knew exactly when and what cargo was coming in, and it was a lot of citrus stuff, and also a lot of like potatoes and I don't remember about the cassava business, but definitely citrus stuff, and then we get it. The late Hurley Marion, he used to bring it in here. Now, I'm not saying that that's what we should do now, because I think there is enough land for us to grow things on and take care of it. But the government has to put a full stop to how much land people can buy to put down expensive houses and apartments. But yet we're not thinking, as the sun rises and the sun sets, we're going to need something to live off of. So I think I'll believe it when I see it. I have nothing against anyone, but I'll believe all of the talk when I see things are going. Now I'm a part of Switzerland. I'm a citizen of Switzerland, and that's several thousand miles away from here. And I know that the government usually gives every household a small lot in their backyard. I would say, maybe 10 by 10, and they have to grow stuff. Then they also give people land to grow stuff. If they don't grow the stuff, then they don't have the land. But I hope that all of this talk goes somewhere, not because some Caymanians do have short memories and some don't even know. Now I thank you for I thank you for listening, and I hope I'm not biting off anybody's head, but excuses and excuses and excuses. Anybody can do that. Let's see some action. Good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
And thank you.
Thank you for your call. I do want to say, you raised a couple great points. One of them being about farmland, and you had mentioned Switzerland, and government gives people like a little plot of land in their, I guess, in their backyards and their yards to farm on, to have a garden. And that's a great idea. Now, in one of our commercial breaks, where usually always the juiciest stuff is shared, in one of the commercial breaks, it was mentioned, actually the minister mentioned, that the government is seeking out people who are looking to sell their land, who have good farmland in the Cayman Islands, who are perhaps thinking of selling their land, to contact the Ministry of Agriculture, because they are looking to buy the land because they want to be able to lease it. Or sorry, they're looking to buy or lease. Thank you, George, for correcting me. Buy or lease the land. So that was something that the minister mentioned, and we were supposed to mention it before he went to before he had to leave, but we got caught up in other phone calls, so I did forget to bring it up. So thank you, because you absolutely raised that point. Would you like to comment on what she said?
And also to the caller's point, it's very difficult for any government to basically tell the people what to do and who to sell their land to. And so at the end of the day, I know that there's basically just talks now, but the logistics has to be worked out. If you notice, we are not in the shipping lane, for example. So the thing about it is, everything in South America, for example, can be trucked straight into the U.S., right? And where we are located is a little different. So I know that the logistics, he's working on that, and I'm sure it's not just hot air. I can vouch for that he's genuinely trying to make it happen. And I think just stay tuned, and more will be coming shortly.
All right, excellent. And I think we got to go to our last commercial break before the show ends. So let's take that commercial break, and then we'll close off.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices: habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
At Parker's, we're known for being calm people, but did you know we're fishing people too? From fishing rods for kids and adults, to bait, lures, coolers, and more. We have everything you need to hook, line, and sink your way to a catch of the day. Quality gear, cool accessories, everyday low prices. We're fishing people. Parker's is open Monday to Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Follow us on social media at Parkers345 or email info@parkerskman.com for more information.
The annual business surveys are ongoing. The surveys are conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office and seek to measure the economic performance of all local industries. The survey forms for this year were mailed or emailed to all relevant entities operating in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the Economics and Statistics Office. For assistance in filling up the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4607. Better data, better decisions, better business.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks, and in studio with me right now, we have the president of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society, Mr. George Smith, who is now my favorite guest ever. Mr. George, we do have another caller online, so let's take that call. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing? Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
And you all?
Great, thank you.
On the topic of farmlands, I have many friends who are farmers, but one of the big problems is that most of the farmlands, as you know, that's some of the best lands, but they don't have proper access. Nowadays, you mostly use vehicular access to some of those lands, like getting your bulldozers in and whatnot, and they are having some difficulty. What I think should now happen, the registered land law needs to be looked at where you can claim accesses of necessity. And not only for farmlands, I know some people are selling their land simply because they don't have a proper access, so it's a way we lose in our lands too, because they keep saying Caymanians can't get any lands to buy.
That's a little scary.
So I'll just throw that out there and hang up and hear what you all have to say on that.
Oh, thank you.
And caller, we are well aware that is there. But I can also say that the minister is currently working on that, and I know that currently, right now, they're in Northside District where they had issues of such that they're definitely resolving, and they're in the process of looking at the law again. So I know that is something that he's definitely looking into.
And I had no idea about that kind of an issue. People having land. Clearly land.
Yeah, but no access.
No access to it.
It used to be probably like a trail before, and that happens. But definitely, I know that they're looking into those things, for sure.
And I guess there's certain laws that prohibit them from providing their own access.
Exactly, because I mean, basically before it was basically a trail that they used to use, maybe 6 feet or something, and now it's not large enough for a vehicle, so basically you just had to walk in. You had owned the property from back when, but I know that he's looking into all of that. That's part of the policy that he's looking at right now.
Okay, all right. So I hope that somewhat answers the caller's question right there. It's an interesting one, very interesting scenario. So that'll be a gem that we're going to hear from Minister Ebanks maybe in the next couple of months. So
exactly,
I'll follow up from him on that.
Because as he said, there's quite a number of things in the pipeline, and I mean, for me to list them all, we would probably be here till tomorrow, and I'm going to leave it to him and the team when they return, to expose some of the things. I think as I said earlier, it's not good to give all of your gifts in one day. So I guess on his next return, Because if he gave everything today, then the next time he returns, there wouldn't be much to talk about, right? So
you would like my family. We celebrate 2 Christmases, so you would definitely like that. So December 25th, and then the Greek or the Orthodox Christmas in January. So that's you with your. Let me save the gifts for a little bit later.
Yes. Exactly right.
So before the last 2 calls came in, and I'd ask you what is happening with the farmers that went through the devastation, and you had mentioned particularly with fruit trees from the Tropical Storm Grace and the other storm. It's just going to be called the other storm right now. So can you revisit that question again and let us know how people are recouping from that?
Yeah. And that's, if you heard me on this radio, I praise the government a lot, right? And the reasons why is that I know what they have done, and they have helped our farmers, and they have given a subsidy to assist all those farmers that had gotten damaged from Hurricane Grace, which, think about it. If we got quite a number of farmers that is their livelihood, right? So sort of like when the pandemic hit, that persons that were working in tourism, they got a stipend to assist them with their bills and whatnot. The farmers did get a stipend from Grace, and definitely that kept them on because they had workers to pay also, while their trees were down or their crops got damaged. So, that's why you hear me on the radio, thanking them so much, because I know firsthand what they have done. And it is not like they had to do it, but, definitely they rallied together and came and definitely supported the farmer. Just want to say something else too. At the first meeting that we had last year, it was surprising to me when we had a meeting and we had 5 representatives from the government show up to the meeting, and that showed me what kind of interest that they had pertaining to agriculture.
I was gonna say, you seemed surprised in saying that, like 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was shocked. I mean, I don't know, maybe before my time that anyone can tell me that they had 5 representatives in the meeting from any government, So I'm saying that was impressive to me, that was our first meeting and 5 representatives, and they came and laid it down what their intentions were, and they were supportive of moving agriculture forward. And that was from there onward. I mean, I must say that,
George, I got to ask you, do you feel that was a genuine interest, or do you feel that it was also this is us as PACT, and this is the first meeting, and we've got to show this support?
Well, I think it was definitely a genuine interest, because if it wasn't, what they say, the rabbit would have shown its head long time, and they have been supportive. If because I can tell you, as the minister said, there's quite a number of things in the pipeline, and
yes,
I mean, this is not just talk. I know that it is in the pipeline, and I know what they have also done.
Yes.
Right. So that's why I say that kudos to the government and the minister for all that they have done for the Cayman Islands. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the farmers, they have a saying that, you don't have to buy a new pair of shoes or a pants or a shirt, but try not eating for a day or 2. And when you sit down and think about what that means, and, because of the terrain that the farmers has to deal with here in the Cayman Islands is not, 6 feet of nice topsoil. 9 out of 10 times is you're going to have to deal with some rock. So that's the thing. So that's why we must say kudos to the farmers for doing their part. And I'm going to ask the public to continue to support them.
And I mean, I think they are.
Yeah, definitely.
I never quite make it early enough to get to the market.
Yes.
Because you gotta make it there early on a Saturday morning, at least at the Georgetown Farmers Market.
Absolutely.
So
to get the best products, obviously.
Always first thing, best products. So that's probably one of the things my mom was trying to hammer into me. Wake up early on the weekend was because I would have to go with her as a child to different little markets or bread shops or the like, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing here. You'll likely get the best pick of the produce, and the most of it definitely in the mornings.
Definitely.
So we know that the the farmers are making a comeback from what government was able to give them, which I think was around 1.7 million to about 90 commercial farmers. That was for the Tropical Storm Grace Farmers Assistance Project.
There you go.
That's a great support, huge support.
Very
and we
much.
do know by what the minister said with the egg project that's happening. So he dropped a little gem with that, revealed that this project is happening. And we know that they're interested in looking to lease land from people who have good farmland and are thinking of selling it or not quite sure what to do with it right now.
Exactly.
Absolutely getting in touch with the Ministry of Agriculture to see if you can go into a lease deal.
Yeah,
make a little bit of money.
It's not just lease. I mean, if they have intentions of selling it, definitely, I think the government is open for talks. And at the end of the day, that's why I can say that, their support is there. Because, I mean, why would he put out that if you were thinking about selling your land or leasing it if they wasn't genuine? And, the thing about it is that farmers, that's one of the biggest things that I think some of our farmers is having, where they don't have the property that they can invest in for over a period of time. Because if a friend of theirs loaned them a piece of property, you're not gonna invest too much in it because you're not sure what
the
next
longevity
year.
of
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
If that deal will still be there for you,
yes,
will be your friend, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So it's those things that I think that is hindering some of the farmers from our people to produce more here. But I think we're on the right track, and it's like anything else. It's not a race; it's a journey. So it'll take some time.
I'd like to see more like community farms, little community plot, not necessarily a farm, but community plots.
Yes.
And I think where I first really saw that happening was New York City. And I was blown away. So you're going to see brownstone after brownstone and high rise after high rise, and then all of a sudden, in between one will be this. It looks almost like a alleyway, but it's not an alleyway. It's just a little plot of land, and that's where people in the neighborhood go and
exactly
they grow things, and it's such a beautiful little community, and it's such a beautiful little thing to see. And I would love to see more of that in Grand Cayman for sure.
I totally agree.
I live off Walker's Road, so in the area, it would be so nice to see. It would just be able to do something to learn, because I definitely do not have a green thumb.
Yeah.
So to learn a little bit more from the people, it creates greater community.
Well, I'm going to give them a shout out also that I know that the Department of Agriculture is currently in the process of having some courses for persons that not
for
really
me.
too versed in farming.
For people like me.
And they, so definitely just stay tuned, and I'm sure that they will be on Radio Cayman and promoting it for sure. But definitely, I think we're on track and going in the right direction, especially, when you consider that we are still in the pandemic. Obviously we are kind of relaxing the restrictions and stuff, but if you look around the rest of the world, as the minister said, we went to Florida last week, and I was kind of surprised when I went to I like Walmart, so I like to look around, and I was surprised because it wasn't the Walmart that I saw 3 years ago.
It was scarce.
Yeah, exactly. Everything
was
a little scarce.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, if this is what's happening in the U.S. themselves, can you imagine? I mean, so that's why I think here in the Cayman Islands, we all need to be more grateful and thank God that we're still up there. Because I mean, I think we are doing very well so far.
Yes. Absolutely. Is there any final comments you want to make? I have to give a couple birthday shout-outs before we end the show, so a reminder for me for that. But I want to make sure you're able to get any final thoughts.
Well, I just want to thank the minister and the government for all they have continued to do for the farmers, and I'm going to ask the people to continue to support our local farmers because they really rely on that, and I think by supporting them, it allows more food to be produced locally, and by that, in extension, more food available for all of us here in case there's a
and
disaster.
better tasting food.
Definitely better tasting.
Absolutely.
And I also want to thank Radio Cayman and yourself for hosting us today.
Thank you. Thanks for staying a lot longer than you thought you would. So I appreciate it. It's been a good conversation so far.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to give a couple of birthday shout-outs. And we heard Mario call in earlier, but it wasn't for the birthday, although he did send me this message. So I promised Mario I will send this birthday greeting. This is going to Miss Ethel Ebanks, who celebrates her 104th birthday today. She's a long-term resident of Town Hall Road and Captain Curry Drive. And as her hearing is impaired, anyone wishing to greet her or call, they can call her at 949-1866. 949-1866. You can leave a message with her caregiver. Alternatively, visits are possible by people who have a recent negative lateral flow test and wear a face mask, definitely. She's 104. We want to keep her around for the 105th birthday, right?
Yes, definitely.
So a very big happy birthday to Miss Ethel, 104 today. We also, oh no, I lost it. We also have another birthday shout out, and this is to Mary Parchment. So we had somebody send a WhatsApp saying, wishing her lots of love and happiness on this special day from her children with love. So happy birthday, Miss Mary Parchment. And the Queen. It's the Queen's birthday.
96.
The Queen is 96, and she got her Barbie doll.
Okay.
For this birthday.
Wow.
At 96.
Wow.
Imagine being 96 and there's a Barbie coming out of you.
Yeah.
But the Barbie looks good. It's not 96-year-old. It's a cute little Barbie, and I kind of actually want one. Okay. I think it's kind of interesting. So happy birthday to the Queen. And congrats on your Barbie figure. That's my closing remarks for today. Thanks for joining us on Talk Today, and you'll be joined with or hosted by Anita Khan tomorrow on Talk Today. Thanks a lot.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Six years.
3 beloved isles.
1 beloved station, Radio Cayman.
The voice.
The